Yeah, fine. Oh, okay.
We're just waiting for the cue that the live stream is ready to start. So patient 1 moment. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. On behalf of the McCain Institute at Arizona State University, Adventure Partners, Credence Management Solutions, to the Invent2Prevent Collegiate Competition, generously sponsored by DHS, Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships. As many of you know, Invent2Prevent is an experiential learning program, high school and collegiate across the country, where they take between a semester and a year to design, implement, and measure the impact of products, tools, or initiatives to prevent targeted violence and terrorism. You will see today just how diverse these projects are and just how diverse the courses that these projects come from are. We're extremely excited about everything you'll see from our students today, both the current students in this semester and the students that are sustaining projects from past semesters. Today, you will hear from 3 teams. They will have 15 minutes to present, 10 minutes for live Q&A from the judges, and ultimately, the judges will go away for 15 minutes to deliberate. Well, you'll hear a panel from our 3 podium finishers from last semester. At the end of that 15-minute judges deliberation, we will award cash awards of $5,000 for first place, $3,000 for second place, and $1,000 for third place. And all 3 teams will be invited to join the sustainment program with additional financial support for the next year. From here, it's my great pleasure to introduce a former colleague at the U.S. Justice Department and now the Vice President of Civil Rights and Deputy General Counsel at Meta, Roy Austin, to give keynote remarks. Roy, come on up.
Well, good morning. Good morning. So my name is Roy Austin. I'm the Vice President of Representative. Brent and I had the privilege of working with Brent a few years ago. What I want to talk about first and foremost is required to love law. And so you are here doing a hard work. Doing hard work. You follow your how to love and care and respect one another. Because maybe love is hard. So in my life, I started off with a hate crime around the country. With the Department of Justice and Civil Rights. One of my first cases was a case involving a hospital. So I saw a list of hospitals to jump. It's the same thing as the black and couple of black men and white men who were students in the neighborhood. It's a meeting side of murder off in their yard. The report then we. So they were successful, and this is what all I was just a harm was real. It wasn't just a couple of kids. I went on to have the privilege of working on the murder of 4 little girls and brothers in our family. We reopened that investigation for Senator, former Senator Doug Jones, was leading that investigation. But seeing how an event that happened in the 1960s is still resonated 30, 40 years later, and continues to resonate, it tells you the power of it. Went on to work on TV at the White House under President Obama, when we were working on how do we identify, how do we stop things from happening. We also then, I then, after a couple other job changes, I ended up where I am today, which is at Meta, formerly known as Facebook. And what I am trying to do there is to figure out how we turn the dial a little bit more toward caring and understanding and respecting online, where we have a platform that has 3.6 billion daily users. For those of you who are counting, the world only has about 7.7 billion people. So close to half of the population is on Instagram, which most of you are on, not me. I'm old, so I do Facebook, WhatsApp. And among those programs, we have approximately 5 billion posts a day. So if we can turn the dial just a little bit at Meta with respect to bullying and hate, we can have an enormous impact on those things in the world. Now, in my opinion, bullying and hate and terrorism are built on basically 2 platforms, and that's ignorance and that's lies. Ignorance is if we keep people stupid, if they don't understand history, they are more likely not only to repeat history, but to be able to hate with impunity. So if I don't tell people the history of the Holocaust or deny the Holocaust, then hating Jews becomes easy. If I don't tell people the history of slavery, then slavery and the experience that Black people experienced becomes irrelevant to them. If I don't tell people about the Trail of Tears, if I don't tell people that they themselves, if they are here in the United States, were probably coming from immigrants, then now when we see immigrants coming across into the United States, people will feel like, well, you know what? They're different from me. So if I don't teach people history, then they're not going to understand why it is that their current hate and bullying is both wrong, but also hypocritical. And then lies. We talk about lies in the form of misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is basically ignorance. It is not knowing. It is, how do I'm passing this along because I read it somewhere, think it, but it's not. Disinformation is organized lies. Is people getting together to intentionally promote lies. Now, look, these are hard questions. They're lines. There's a question of free speech. But at some point, we have to stand up and we have to say that stupid things such as this whole debate we're having over critical race theory, this whole debate we're having over the great replacement theory, that these things have no place, certainly not in this country. And we know that we are capable of doing this because we're watching what's happening right now in Ukraine. We're watching what Russia is doing. Russia is relying on lies and it's relying on ignorance to push a war. Well, we all saw what happened in Buffalo, and many of us remember what happened in Charleston not that long ago. Those things are built on hate and lies. And what I want to say to you primarily is thank you. Thank you for taking on the hard part. Thank you for figuring out what your generation can do better than my generation has done. You have the thing that's primarily different about what you've done is you have the proximity. So many of you know people who come from something different. Your neighbors are different. Your classmates are different. The people who you have brought into your circle are different. They're different races, religions, national origins, ethnicities, gender identities, sexual orientations, and people with disabilities. And because you brought them close, you realize the humanity in them. And because you brought them close is why you're doing this program right now, why you have come up with ways that we can address and solve for the ignorance and hate that we're seeing. So I applaud you for taking on the hard. The easy would be simply to hate and to ignore and to reject the humanity of others. But I applaud you for taking on the hard and finding out how we can bring society and humanity more closely together. So thank you and good luck. I hope you guys get that $5,000, but if not, your work will not be in vain. So thank you.
Thank you, Roy. So today we have the honor of being joined by 5 distinguished judges. And I want to take a moment to introduce them. Judges, if you could please participate in the live stream by standing when I say your name so they can actually see you. First, we have Dave Fortier. He is the founder and CEO of One World Strong. Second, we have Ryan Greer, and I need to look at my notes for the length of his title. He is the National Security Director and Chief of Staff for Government Relations at ADL. Next, we have Paula First. She is the Associate Director of Strategic Engagement for the Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships. Next up is Corinda Washington, the Executive Director of Social Impact and Campaigns at the DHS Office of Partner Engagement. And last, but certainly not least, the person who understands best what students are going through today is Caitlin Tierney. Caitlin was the co-lead of our first place finishing team, Diverting Hate, from last semester. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce the Missouri State University team, Caliber Gaming Alliance.
An insurrectionist mob engaging in seditious conspiracy and led in part by violent extremist groups invaded this house and spoiled the very altar of our democratic republic.
A full 12% of those who were arrested appear to have some background in the military.
We've seen a roughly 300% increase by some measures in extremist incidents among veterans over the last decade compared with the previous decade.
Small numbers in this case can have an outsized impact.
As service members are transitioning from active duty to the veteran community, there is a time period in which they are particularly vulnerable.
They specifically target the isolated, the impoverished veterans who are frustrated and confused, those who are struggling to adapt to the civilian world.
Most extremist content and radicalization today does happen online.
Online spaces must be transformed into positive places.
This is not just a VA issue. This is not just a DoD issue. This is going to take a collective effort of the veteran, involving the veteran community, the private sector, nonprofits, communities and family members across the country to address this issue.
My name is Lily Sharan.
I am Adrian.
I am Chandler Reevy.
And my name is Matthew Richner, and we are the Missouri State University Adjunct presenting Caliber Gaming Alliance.
We'd like to start by thanking everyone who made this possible. We're grateful for the opportunity to work with Adventure Partners and the McCain Institute, gaining real-world experience creating this campaign for the Department of Homeland Security.
Like many of the other teams, we started the semester with strong skill sets in marketing strategy, communication, and advertising, but we have never been given a challenge quite like Invent2Prevent.
Luckily, DHS gave us specific objectives to move forward. We were asked to motivate or empower our target audience to be involved in prevention efforts by proposing a product, tool, or initiative with a strong call to action. Our project should use digital platforms to drive engagement with that audience and be sustainable beyond the program term.
Because of the broad scope of the topics related to targeted violence and domestic terrorism, we really wanted to understand what problems we were faced with. We dove into DHS resources to find the most persistent issues affecting our homeland.
One specific data point really surprised us. U.S. military and veteran involvement in domestic extremist groups has risen by 350% over the past 3 decades. We know the U.S. military is dedicated to protecting our country's interests at home and abroad. So why is this group increasingly at risk for radicalization and extremism?
We understand the difficulties in a veteran's transition from active duty to a civilian lifestyle. They may struggle to find their place in communities they once called home, or find it difficult to relate to friends and family who haven't shared their experiences.
Hate groups and extremists actively prey upon these risk factors, targeting veterans under the guise of a support group of like-minded and understanding individuals.
When in reality, these groups are targeting former service members for their combat expertise and other skills, as well as their access to weapons. If we wanted to protect veterans from these recruitment efforts, we needed an understanding of the specific risk factors they face.
One of the most common contributing factors to radicalization is the feeling of isolation. We've found that veterans are 18% more likely to feel like strangers in their own community, and that number is even higher from veterans returning from Afghanistan.
Research is limited because this is such a recent issue, but this could be in part due to the length of engagement in Afghanistan and a sense of their efforts being wasted in the aftermath of the conflict.
Combined with other risk factors like traumatic experiences and anti-government sentiment, this loneliness can lead veterans to seek out support networks elsewhere. Hate groups and extremists are well aware of this and are preying on the susceptibility to radicalization.
In order to better understand how we can build resistance to these factors, we took a deeper look into 2 core audiences.
The first of which is parents, peers, and mentors. We are looking for former service members to join our efforts in a mentorship capacity to build protective factors related to pro-social engagement and a sense of purpose.
We found it would be beneficial to reach this group within 3 years after leaving active service. So we chose to narrow our efforts to veterans between the ages of 18 and 30. It was also important for us to be able to engage with this group in real life. So we focused our efforts on veterans living in Southwest Missouri.
We wanted to learn what activities and organizations veterans were involved in locally. The popularity of gaming among veterans stood out to us in particular.
Our secondary target is identified as at-risk youth. We focused efforts on young adults between the ages of 18 to 24 living in Southwest Missouri.
They're newly independent and are navigating a transition to adulthood. Positive connections, good role models, and healthy relationships are important protective factors for this group.
Unsurprisingly, we found that gaming is a popular pastime with this group too, and they tend to use it as a tool to connect with their friends.
Focusing our efforts on these audiences led us to we spoke to experts in veteran services, professionals in psychology, terrorism prevention, and communication, local entrepreneurs, and gamers themselves to learn how communities are built around gaming.
Our on-campus Veterans Center, the Springfield Vet Center, and a group of advisors and mentors at Veterans Upward Bound were able to connect us with veterans on campus and within our community. They also taught us about the local resources that veterans have access to so we could better understand the need our project could fill.
Experts in prevention shared the importance of protective factors and the use of inoculation as a tool to prevent radicalization. We also found that one of the best prevention methods is building a community with pro-social engagement.
We wanted to use a hobby shared by both of our audiences as a means to connect. We reached out to Contender Esports, a gaming facility, to better understand how to use gaming as that connection point. We also found that gaming can be used to promote positive interaction.
Finally, our audience gave us valuable feedback. Initial survey data helped us understand their attitudes and behaviors towards community engagement, gaming, and online safety. This helped us identify their needs and shaped our response to the challenge.
We discovered there aren't many social groups catered to the needs of younger veterans and felt our efforts should be dedicated to create an initiative that serves this audience using gaming as a connection point.
Caliber Gaming Alliance is an organization that builds protective factors among former service members and at-risk youth. Caliber is the degree of one's quality or ability. Our name represents the heightened quality of character that we are cultivating within our community.
We set 3 specific goals for Caliber. First, provide opportunities for pro-social engagement using gaming to build a community. Second, inoculate our members against radicalization using protective factors. And finally, develop a mentorship program that creates a positive and safe environment.
We developed our tactics for Caliber Gaming Alliance with those goals in mind. Caliber is an inclusive membership group that connects members in a variety of ways.
We started by creating that mentorship framework that allows natural peer-to-peer guidance, asking our mentors and encourage good practices. We speak to our mentors about the goals of the organization, allowing them to take on oversight of the community.
Caliber's mentorship program gives veterans the opportunity to educate members on 3 pillars: online safety, identifying hate speech, and creating connections through gaming. Our mentors learn more about these pillars through educational videos and instill these topics in our other members.
One of our mentors, Daniel LaRue, is an exemplary member of that mentorship program. He shared how the Alliance has allowed him to connect with a community.
I've been for 3 years, 1 year of training, and then the other 2 years just been in drill. So I'm in the National Guard. Obtaining the title soldier, was a very proud moment for me. It was a very emotional experience because you have worked so hard to get to it. So it's definitely part of my identity now. Having such like a huge part of life. Having a place where you can go, a group of people who you share something in common with that you all enjoy. It's very important. And that's what Caliber's about, the relationships and having something in common everyone enjoys doing and then bonding over that. And that's why it's effective.
Daniel mentioned the importance of coming together to do something you enjoy. He was referring to our game nights, the most exciting aspect of the Alliance.
Caliber hosts free game nights for members every other Wednesday. These events are opportunities for Caliber to gain new members and build relationships among our returning members.
Game nights are engaging and fun, featuring hand-picked games that promote teamwork, communication, and socialization. We also put on leaderboard-style tournaments and competitions awarding prizes to top competitors. But our members are most excited about the collaborative gameplay.
These events are possible through our partnership. Contender handles the logistics of hosting an in-person gaming event, so our mentors can focus on creating a welcoming atmosphere where members feel a sense of belonging.
Caliber also takes tools to arrange digital meetings using a chat program called Discord, which provides a way to form communities called servers. Our members are invited to meet privately and interact with each other.
Caliber servers offer a wide variety of text and voice channels. Per member request, our newest channel brings together Minecraft lovers and allows Caliber members to collaborate on the game.
Caliber is now among the top 10% of Discord servers by membership out of 6.7 million worldwide.
Apart from Discord, we used other digital networks to promote Caliber. We had our website that had our mission statement and information about upcoming events and how you could get involved. We also used Facebook and Instagram to cross-promote events with our partners. Throughout this process, we stayed focused on our 3 goals of providing opportunities for pro-social engagement, inoculating our members against radicalization, and creating a successful mentorship program.
We created a community built around pro-social engagement. Our members benefit from one of the most powerful protective factors against radicalization by building and maintaining strong relationships at our in-person events. Those game nights promote interaction, encourage new ways to play together, and allow a welcoming atmosphere for all members. We saw our new members and new friends move online where they frequently use Discord to chat and play together between events.
Caliber further inoculated members against radicalization by strengthening a sense of community and belonging, presenting tactics against hate speech, and providing opportunities for positive engagement. Caliber's members built protective factors in themselves and each other.
We created a successful mentorship program. We currently have 7 active mentors in Caliber who connect with and support at-risk populations. Our mentors have continued to attend summer events.
Though most of us graduated in May, Caliber's mission continues. We'll continue to meet every other Wednesday throughout the next several months. Our mentors even offered to host a game night without us while we're here tonight, so members didn't miss out on an opportunity to come together.
Caliber is currently scalable through our current partners. Contender Esports has over 20 locations across the US, allowing new Caliber chapters to start within our network. New chapters and mentors can rely on the groundwork laid by our team.
The Caliber Discord server will act as the central hub for all members no matter where they are. And future Caliber mentors can reference our educational videos to learn how to carry on our mission.
Securing partnerships with local organizations expanded our efforts and allowed us to connect with more individuals and resources. Veteran organizations of Springfield connected us with local vets and helped us build our membership.
Contender Esports provided the physical location and the necessary resources to host these in-person free gaming events. Through that partnership, we saved nearly $9,000.
Local businesses donated gift cards or products to give us prizes during our game nights. Building and maintaining strong partnerships was a key step in our success this spring and helps us to sustain Caliber Gaming Alliance.
At the beginning of the semester, our ultimate goal was to get here and present to you. But along the way, we were able to see the bigger picture and the impact that we could make within our own community.
We are incredibly proud of what we've accomplished this semester. Regardless of the competition's outcome, we've seen real friendships form out of the Alliance and have enjoyed getting to know our members.
But most importantly, we've been able to help veterans find a sense of belonging in our community. We appreciate the support our project has and can't wait to see our members continue to thrive. Thank you all so much for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have about the Alliance.
All right, thank you to Caliber Gaming Alliance University. Because this is your time to shine. For the purposes of the live stream, we're going to ask you to stand as you ask your question. Mackenzie has a microphone. Who'd like to start? Don't be shy. Dave.
Thank you. So a question for several, actually, and they're all good ones. So nice job with your partnerships. That's not an easy thing to do. So congratulations on that. Can you share with everybody a little bit about the process that you've gone through to find a mentor? What is that mentor process?
So to pick our mentors, we started by seeing the members that we currently had coming to our game nights. And we decided which ones we thought exhibited good qualities for mentorship. And then we talked to them, engaged in a dialogue so we could understand what their values were and what our values are, and comparing the two to see if they combine so we could move forward in the mentorship process.
Hey, thanks so much. I mean, first of all, you've come so far already. So no matter what happens today, congratulations on the impact you've had and getting through to this round. So congrats and thank you. So I wanted to ask about kind of some of your inoculation tactics. You mentioned inoculation. You really clearly demonstrated the target demographic being kind of an at-risk demographic, veterans, but I wasn't directly clear about kind of how they were inoculated within your target demo, within your actual participants. So you mentioned at the end, for instance, that some were inoculated against hate speech, and I saw just really quickly that metric. You could expand kind of how exactly that worked and how you achieved the metric. And if you don't mind maybe showing it again, just because it was just real quick. But again, thank you. And yeah, I'd just love to hear more about the inoculation process.
Yeah, of course. So our inoculation process starts with our mentors. So our mentors are shown videos that show tactics and various ways to deal with issues like hate speech, identifying hate speech, and like collaborating. And so through that, we have them spread that information throughout our organization. And so they can help inoculate and teach other members, mainly the at-risk youth, and trying to spread that information that way.
I just want to echo the other judges that this is a really incredible program. And I just want to say, as a member of the federal government, this is something that we've been trying to, work on for a while now. Gaming is sort of the newest frontier in some of our tech-based work. And, frankly, we have not done as good a job as you guys have of articulating the problem and finding a potential solution. So thank you so much for this. The question I have is the question that we sort of always come back to, which is, how do you know it's working? We struggle with, in my role doing prevention, we struggle with, metrics. How do you prove a negative? How do you prove that somebody wasn't radicalized to violence? So I'm just curious, what kinds of metrics, what kinds of, for lack of a better term, proof you have. I know some of these statistics are useful, but I'm wondering if you have any more information on how you know that this is working for your veterans. Thank you so much.
As we move forward, we are continuing to reference post-survey data that has been absolutely crucial in understanding our impact. So for our game nights, we ensured that those members that we saw returning, and even those that participated and maybe didn't come back, we were able to distribute surveys online and in person that allowed them to reflect on how many people they interacted with and their attitudes towards hate speech and other issues promoting or that lead to radicalization. So throughout the process, we've seen post-survey data because of our efforts to distribute those.
Thank you. Hello and great job. I echo my fellow jurists as well. And one question that I have is back to public-private partnerships. It's something that we struggle with at the federal government. Do we partner? How do we partner? And so I really am interested in hearing from the federal side, if you reached out to Veterans Administration or any of those federal agencies, were they receptive if you did reach out to them? And any government agency, even at the state and local level, I'm interested to hear what the reception was like.
We began in the very beginning of that process where we identified the target market and the secondary target market. We spoke to veterans services. That was one of our very crucial steps in the process. And that included our local campus resources for veterans, but also the local chapter of Veterans Upward Bound, supported by the Veterans Affairs Department. So we have seen the role that government has in creating partnerships at the local level, and we are excited to see how our project can be an example towards future partnerships between the private sector and the public space.
Hi, team. Incredible job. Love the branding, really smart ideology behind the name and everything. So really impressed. The scalability with Contender, also really impressive way of bringing something that is typically online to an in-person opportunity to bring people together in that way. So I thought that was really smart. But coming to the online portion with Discord, I'm interested to know more about how you set up the group norms. How do you actually behave within this chat? And then how do you protect it from the infiltration of these hate groups? Knowing that it is a group chat with veterans who are susceptible, how do you actually protect them in that space from any kind of infiltration within the chat? Would love to know more about that.
Yeah, so we actually have a private server currently right now. So all of our members that are in there are ones that have already been to our game nights. We know are interested, understand our values and goals and want to be a part of it. And that's when we proceed to invite them to the, the online space as well. So we haven't really experienced much of infiltration or any hate speech within that.
Judges, we have 2 more minutes for questions if you have additional.
Okay, sure. So if you can, speak a little bit to the service members, whether they be active or veterans that you spoke with prior to putting this together. What were some of the conversations like? What did you learn when you were putting that together? So former service members, active service.
So we were able to speak with a lot of veterans when we were starting our project, especially communicating with our veteran organizations on campus and within our community. And they gave us valuable feedback on how we would target and how we reduce our branding and be inclusive to everyone, because that was very important to them. So we reflected those values, and they also understand the need for this project. So they were very supportive in what we were doing.
Mike is coming, Dave.
Sorry. How many people did you speak with, roughly?
I would estimate the number of veteran services in our community that we spoke with, the individuals within those organizations, to be around 6 or 7. And that is through the local MSU campus veteran services, the OTC, which is a community college in our city, the VA Veterans Upward Bound there, as well as reaching out to recruiters, which have a relationship with veterans, and trying to draw in as many perspectives as possible.
Any additional judges' questions? All right, please join me in thanking Missouri State University and Calvert Gaming Alliance. Team, thank you very much. You can exit the stage, drop off your mic packs. All right, so that was the first of 3 presentations you'll see today. Our next team is from the University of North Dakota. And they are a team that's located in a tribal justice course. This is the first time we've ever had a tribal justice course as part of Invent2Prevent. And we found that the diversity of course selection really impacts the diversity of products that we see from these students' teams. So right now, what they're doing backstage, we're getting the mics from Missouri State University, getting them on to University of North Dakota. As I mentioned earlier, all 3 teams that participate today have the opportunity to participate in the sustainment program. And I wanted to say a word or 2 about what that actually looks like. Caitlin, one of our judges, is in the sustainment program now. We partner very closely with the sustainment teams. We meet with them monthly. We give them guidance if they're looking to incorporate as a nonprofit, if they're looking to incorporate as a for-profit, they're looking to apply for grants, they're looking to establish a board of directors. Whatever the priorities for that particular team is, our role in the sustainment program is to help mentor them through that process, connect them with potential partners, and help them achieve their goals so that they make that successful transition from classroom project to a long sustaining program or organization, depending on their goals. Are we ready? All right, without further ado, I want to invite out the University of North Dakota Be Seen.
Before we begin today, I would like to mention that we will be offering some braids of sweetgrass to the judges today, as it is common in many Indigenous cultures to present this as a thank you before meetings or get-togethers. This aromatic sweetgrass represents healing, peace, and spirituality, and is used by many tribes. To begin, I'd like to start by asking you guys a few quick questions. You don't have to answer them out loud, just sort of think about them quietly amongst yourselves. Can you name 3 prominent Native Americans? What about any famous Native American actors or actresses? Can you name any Native American that's famous for anything and born after the year 1950? If you answered no to any of these questions, it's okay, it's not your fault. This isn't something to blame on the individual. Rather, this is something that stems from a much bigger and broader issue. With that being said, my name's Nicole.
I'm Spencer. And my name's Cameron.
And we are Be Seen. We created Be Seen to address the issue of invisibility that Native Americans face in the United States. As a small team of 6, the only ones enrolled in our tribal justice course, we quickly realized that there's little to no spotlight on any issues pertaining to Native Americans, making them a prime target for hate groups. Be Seen stands for Students Empowering and Encouraging Native Nations. And one of our main goals was people in order to prevent cultural misappropriation and to bring people together of different cultures and backgrounds. 3 of our team members are actually Indigenous, and unfortunately they couldn't be here today, but I would like to share a story on my teammate Chantel's behalf. She shared this with us at the beginning of the semester, and it was really eye-opening for our team and really inspired our topic. She was out at a bar and grill with some friends, meeting new people, and a conversation got started where they discussed the topic of where she was from. She mentioned she was from the Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate Reservation, and the gal gave her a strange look and said, "Oh, you people come off the reservation? I didn't know you ever did that." Chantel was really taken aback and said, "First off, you people, we're just like anyone else. And yeah, we come off the reservation, we go to college, we have jobs, we live our own lives." And that was a really pivotal moment for our team and really made this topic important for us. Be Seen works to eliminate discrimination and cultural misappropriation of American Indians. They can be discriminated against and become targets of violence, and due to their isolation, become targets for recruitment by hate groups. According to a 2015 study published by Teen Vogue, the media depiction of American Indians is so rare that the first 95 of 100 Google image search results are of historical depictions. This is just one example of the invisibility that Native Americans face, resulting in feelings of resentment and despair. This misappropriation is perpetuated by the dominant society and is a direct result of failings of the K-12 education system, mainstream media, and pop culture. The misappropriation of American Indians keeps them down, making it hard for their voices to be heard. And this is what makes those who are less knowledgeable more likely to perpetuate racist ideas, stereotypes, and targeted violence. Be Seen operates on 3 pillars: educate, empower, and encourage. We believe that a formal education of Indigenous culture is key in reducing stereotypes, racist ideas, and targeted violence. We used our free online educational module, which will be covered more in depth, as a tool to share knowledge with those who maybe don't know a lot about Indigenous culture. We empower by giving voice to Native Americans on our campus and in our community by attending local Indigenous events and building relationships and allies. And we encourage people to become active in prevention efforts and share ways to do so using our social media.
To start off with, we wanted to see how many people knew about Native American culture, their history, and acts of violence against Native Americans. We did this by asking a large class of undergraduates and a general education class 17 survey questions pertaining to those topics. What we found is that a large majority of them have little to no knowledge about Native American culture, history, or violence against Native Americans, which is nothing against them at all whatsoever. They simply do not know and haven't been told, and that's why we are here today. Another interesting research aspect is that a very small minority of hate crimes actually get reported by Native Americans. And as we all know, it's the unreported, the ones that are in fear for their life, don't get taken seriously, are some of the most important things to really help encourage them more and to speak out and have more people listen to them. Our last research aspect is that we found back in 2021, President Joe Biden specifically signed an executive order dealing with targeted violence against Native Americans and missing and murdered Indigenous women as well.
Our primary target audience was those of the inactive population. These people were unaware of any issues pertaining to the Native American community. Our second target audience was those of the uncommitted population. These people were aware of the problems within the community and did nothing to prevent them. We initially aimed for college students between the ages of 18 and 25. However, when we got out into the public, we learned that our reach went much further. We found people from ages 17 to 76, and mostly located within the Midwest. However, since our platform is digital, we are able to reach people throughout the country.
And to reach those people and our target audience specifically, we have 4 main strategies. Our first and important strategy is our educational module. This free online educational module is used by Qualtrics to really get links and QR codes to spread around on campus and to be used on our social media as well. So that way anyone passing by can scan the QR code or click the link and take it anytime they want, any time of the day. Our second strategy, our logo, our saying, be seen, invisible no more, educate, empower, and encourage. These important pillars show people who we are and what we're willing to do to help spread the message of Native Americans and their culture and their history. Our third and important strategy as well, networking. Networking with on-campus Native American groups and off-campus as well. We can further help spread our word and our message as well, because in many Native American cultures across America, it's never one person. It is a group, it is a tribal effort to really help educate and persuade people to really get our message across. And strategy, events that we held on campus and ones that we were invited to really help personally get to the people and really support people directly wanting to spread the message and become allies in our group as well. And to speak more in depth, our educational module is about Native American culture, history, the past, the present, the good, and the bad. Now, how many people know about the Battle of Wounded Knee? Well, I'm afraid that was a trick question that's also in our educational module as well. There was no such thing as the Battle of Wounded Knee. Using the words like battle diminished and deterred Native Americans from speaking against the truth, which is the fact that men, women, and children, innocent lives were lost. And then this was just one example of what's in our educational module. Another and more interesting example is Native American folktale stories, such as how the porcupine got its quills, and how many federally recognized tribes are in the United States, 574 to be exact.
Be Seen has had phenomenal success with our educational module. It went live around April 1st of this year, and since then, we've had 141 successful module completions. According to a short post survey, we found that 73% state they are willing to step in when they see microaggressions or put downs of Native Americans. 60% pledge to seek out and join social media groups that are supportive, and a whopping 86% state they are now aware of targeted violence that they were previously unaware of. As you can see pictured here, we had a digital badge created. This is administered by the University of North Dakota to students who successfully complete our module. This is our Invisible No More Learning About Indigenous Culture badge. And this diversity, equality, and inclusion badge allows students to showcase their understanding of Indigenous culture.
And to speak more on the events that we held and were invited to, one of the events that we held was at the Student Union. We were able to talk directly to students about wanting to join our cause, educate more on Native American culture, history, and acts of violence against Native Americans. We handed out flyers and wristbands to really spread the message across to everyone on campus. Another event that we were lucky to be invited to is the 50th Wachipi, or powwow, in which we were able to directly talk to Native Americans and gather their support and see how interested or how they reacted to us when we were there. And while we were there, many of them were very interested and excited to see our group there and be willing to spread the message about Native American culture, history, and violence against Native Americans.
When it comes to social media, Be Seen was active on both Facebook and Instagram. However, we found Facebook to be our most successful platform. We caught a lot of traction from the start with a lot of comments showing support of our group and really loving our message. We shared posts including information of how to access our online educational module, awareness about National Crime Victims' Rights Awareness Week and World Elder Abuse Day, to name a few, as well as information on local Indigenous events for people to attend. Our Facebook page has 99 page likes, over 250 clicks, over 800 reactions, and over 9,000 page views. And we are still posting regularly.
Our budget analysis shows that of the $2,000, 65% went towards t-shirts that were handed out to us members, our allies, and any future members as we tried to extend our project into a campus club. 13% went towards wristbands that were handed out at local events to help share our message. 7% went towards gift cards that were given to select individuals at random who successfully completed our training module. 6% went towards boosting on social media, where we boosted Facebook posts about local events, our education module, and victims awareness. 6%, another 6% went towards hosting our own booth at the campus union, where we met with students and faculties to connect with them and teach them about our education module. The last 3% went towards flattening our logo, which we put on our t-shirts and our signage. For scalability and sustainability, probably one of the most two important things about any project, how big you can grow that project and how long you can make it last. For scalability, the program that we use for our education module, Qualtrics, can hold an unlimited amount of responses and can be accessed 24/7 throughout the nation. As well, we are always trying to recruit new students for the upcoming school year. For sustainability, as said before, our module and our Facebook page are both active, and we're still getting responses from the module and currently posting on Facebook. One of the biggest part about our sustainability is our partners. Partners such as the Native Americans into the Criminal Justice Systems Association, the Social Work Club, the Sociology Club, and the Teaching and Training Academy on UND, as well as Native American activists and our local police department.
Academy reached out to us and stated that they will be donating a large portion of their upcoming content to Indigenous culture due to our group's efforts. We plan to partner with these groups to make bigger events on campus, and we're also planning on expanding our educational module to include different key topics and to target different audiences such as K-12, university, and adults. With these groups, we can reach heights that we've never seen before. To end today, I'd like to round back to the beginning questions. I know maybe you were feeling some feelings of guilt not being able to answer those. So I want to end on a positive note. Now you can leave answering those questions. So I'd like to introduce two prominent individuals who are Native American. We have Deb Holland, who is the first Native American Secretary of Interior, and then Benjamin Bratt, who's been involved in many well-known productions such as Coco, Despicable Me 2, and Law and Order. With that being said, thank you.
Miigwech, Badame.
All right, thank you to the University of North Dakota Be Seen campaign judges. This is your opportunity. Mackenzie has a microphone. Who would like to start? Do we want to start in Caitlin's direction? Perfect.
First off, just this is awesome. This is what allyship looks like. I'm really impressed. I particularly really liked your approach of not making an audience feel guilty, because I think this idea specifically of white guilt is a lot of the pushback to learning about history and other people. And I think you're very smart to go about it in a way that's inclusive and bringing people in. I also thought you really hit on what Roy spoke earlier about regarding ignorance and being a huge root of hate. So I thought your campaign was really excellent. I would love to know how you would maybe expand this to other campuses and maybe beyond college campuses, online, or how would you make this more of a national effort?
Right now, we're planning on creating a much more interactive educational module. So how it works right now is it's a survey style. It asks a question, the next page provides some information. We would love to make something much more interactive, like I stated, with more key topics. And our professor, Wendell Hume, has a lot of connections. We plan to utilize her as well as our own efforts to reach out to other universities and hopefully implement this to more people.
And I echo Caitlin, this is a great job and a great community to focus on. And we at the federal level, even in my office, we have an office of intergovernmental affairs, which includes our tribal outreach work. And so just delighted to see this. I want to hear more about how you were inclusive of the Native American community in informing this project. And if you can, just candidly, some of the responses that you received when you did meet with some of the tribal community members.
When we were invited to the Wachipi powwow on our campus, that was a really great moment just to see how they would take our group. And there was a ton of support. Like I stated, our professor is Indigenous and two of our team members are Indigenous as well. When they were sharing information about our group, the response was overwhelmingly just so much support. It was awesome to see. And we do plan to continue working with them. We do have connections with a group of Native American activists out of Chicago that are planning to work with us in the future as well.
Really great presentation. And I appreciate the way that you framed it. I think it's a very accessible way of framing the topic. I'm curious about any, you mentioned pushback and you mentioned, people maybe not wanting to learn more, having resistance to that, and Caitlin mentioned that as well. I'm curious if you experienced any of that and how you addressed it in the moment or overall.
When it came to our Facebook page, we did have some comments that were a bit out of the ordinary than what we usually found, but it really was just a very small amount. There was nothing overly pushed back against it. The only thing that we were trying to do is really encourage and entice people to come join our group or our table with such as merch like our wristband or other things as well.
So let me start out with congratulations and thank you. You've really achieved so much so far already. And on the opening questions, I did not fare as well as I would like to have. So I have some work to do. So add one to your impact. You got me. But yeah, seriously, thank you. This is wonderful and a much needed target demo for your impact. With that in mind, did you consider the direct connection to violence and at risk for violence populations? And kind of, can you talk about, were you just focusing on the preventive element on purpose, or was there a violence piece that I didn't necessarily catch?
So we were more preventative. We want people, to step in if they see any type of, microaggressions or aggression in general. But also, if it's already happening, get into efforts about joining prevention efforts, and sorry. But joining prevention efforts, stopping violence if seen, that's what we're focusing on, encouraging people to step up.
So like everybody else, wow. I think you did a fantastic job, specifically around the tech challenges. You handled that quite well. It won't be the first time that you face that, nor will it be the last. So well done. If you could talk a little bit about specific thoughts on how you'd expand the program and the cost that would be involved, if it's per campus, if it's just how would you expand that program to other places?
Absolutely. We are working on contacting our campus to see if we can receive any funding from them, as well as we do have some t-shirts that we plan to use as a fundraising tool to raise money for our group to continue the efforts. Moving forward as a campus organization, we would get a budget from the university that we could use to push our group forward as well.
I think it's on, yeah. Sort of in line with that same question, did you approach any businesses, any local organizations that could potentially, support and sustainment? Was that something that you considered, or did you purposely keep it focused on campus?
The Native Americans into the Criminal Justice Association. They are not a campus program. We reached out to them. They help us get into their local events, and we work with them to help, encourage and connect us people with Native Americans and their culture.
I thought your audience segmentation was really interesting. So this unaware, inactive, and then aware and inactive. And I would love to know how you identified the two, and then how maybe your materials in education and networking were maybe different for each group.
We started with a survey of a general education class to gain a feel of what people knew, and that's where we decided what the two populations were. So some people were aware of targeted violence and some people were not aware. That's how we deciphered the two groups. As far as reach, our module, we did just have one module, so that would be something for the future, as I stated, more targeted content to present.
Okay, so look out 2 to 3 years from now. What would you like to see this program look like?
I would.
Oh, excuse me.
And take your time.
What we'd really like to see is more educational modules, more club activities, more support from our university, and really just reaching out across the nation, maybe having specific educational modules for each kind of indigenous tribe or group, having speakers come to us and speak to more and more bigger audience, and really just growing our club, our educational module, and events to really kind of be together as one with Native Americans and with the community as well.
Any final question from judges? All right, please join me in thanking the University of North Dakota. These things. Students, go ahead and proceed off stage. Drop off your mics. All right. Our last but certainly not least team is from American University, the Duck campaign. And so you all know we drew these names out of a hat. Student representatives drew these names out of the hat, so don't infer anything from the order. Our judges already have rubber duckies and stickers. So as the duck team gets mic'd up. I just wanted to preview a little bit of what will be happening during the intermission. So during the judges' intermission, you all stay put because there is more content for you. We have our 3 teams that finished first, second, and third from last semester. That's Middlebury Institute, the Howard Peace Coalition, and WITS from the University of South Carolina. Those students, representatives from each of those teams, will be participating in a panel with Ashley Bowers, our senior program manager, at the McCain Institute, sharing insights on where their campaigns are today, where they're going next, and what their experience was like participating in the program. We're ready? All right, without further ado, please welcome American University Duck Campaign.
The internet created a place where extremist views would proliferate.
The rise of violent extremism online. Parents, family members, and mentors play an important role in combating misinformation.
That our reality has become increasingly shaped by false information.
Repeating false claims makes it seem true.
Better media literacy tools. The internet created a place.
18-year-old Peyton Gendron massacred 10 Black individuals in Buffalo, New York, using platforms 4chan, Discord, Twitch, and Reddit to plan, execute, and stream his racially motivated extremist attack. In his 180-page manifesto, Gendron cites the Great Replacement Theory, a white supremacist conspiracy theory found on far-right message boards and promoted by news host Tucker Carlson in over 400 episodes. Gendron pulls anti-Semitic and racist memes straight from 4chan's message boards and borrows from the 2019 manifesto of Christchurch shooter Brenton Tarrant. This is only the most recent example of the growing threat of radicalization in the United States. Hi, I'm Maya.
I'm Emily. I'm Laura.
And our prevention project called DUCK, which stands Developing and Using Critical Comprehension. DUCK seeks to combat misinformation through the creation of an online digital literacy curriculum. In the information age, young people have unfettered access to the internet and social media, making them a highly vulnerable population for online radicalization and terrorist recruitment. Several studies, including those published by the National Institutes for Health and the UN Office of the Special Representative on Violence Against Children, explain that young people have a biological tendency to engage in sensation-seeking, risk-taking, and novelty. As a result, this population is highly vulnerable, and we have an obligation to protect them. DUCK seeks to address this through the creation of a digital literacy curriculum.
Our second goal at DUCK is to provide research tools to educate so that they can solve conversations with the class. And our third goal is to involve parents in the mission to teach children about misinformation and the path of nonviolence.
To achieve the goals that Molly just outlined, our project targets 2 key groups. The first is uncommitted youth populations, specifically those in grades 1st through 6. Several studies indicate that this population specifically is more often exposed to misinformation and extremist content online, but because they haven't developed the critical thinking skills necessary, they aren't able to evaluate this information for themselves. Several studies indicate that less than 2% of young people have the critical thinking skills that are necessary to determine whether or not a news source is real or fake. While DUCK recognizes the important role that children play in combating misinformation, we also recognize that adults, peers, mentors, and parents also play a role as well. Students engage with these individuals both in the home and at school, and we have an obligation to include them in our work as well.
Our primary tactic is our free, safe, and secure website, www.duck.online, which acts as a resource hub for students, parents, and teachers. This website, we can guarantee, is secure because we purchased an SSL certificate, which protects the information and the privacy of those visiting the website. On our website, we have two modules, one for students and parents, and the other for teachers. For parents, we have the Duck Guide for Parents, which includes our goals, the mission, the efficacy of our project, and the research behind our project. We also provide additional resources for parents, like signs of online radicalization in youth and how to spot radicalization in your own home. For teachers, we provide lesson plans and animation and additional resources. Our lesson plans are split up into two modules, one for 1st through 4th graders and the other for 4th through 6th graders. Our animated video is for 1st through 4th graders, and in our Duck Guide for teachers, we provide an explanation of each lesson plan so teachers who do not have the proper training to facilitate these lessons can do so in their own classroom.
One of the primary components of our project is an animated video called Daniel's First Day. It chronicles the story of a duck named Daniel on his first day at a new school. Daniel unfortunately becomes the subject of some misinformation as some of his new classmates had read online that ducks are dumb, and if they spend time around ducks, they'll become dumb as well. They spread this information to other classmates, which then negatively impacts Daniel's ability to make friends and socially connect. One of his classmates decides to take a leap of faith and talk to Daniel herself. She then realizes that ducks are actually really smart. She shares this information with her other classmates, as well as the teacher, who then intervenes and is able to have a conversation about the type of content students are seeing online and how when they spread misinformation, it can have harmful effects. Additionally, we chose to use animals in this video instead of people so as to not perpetuate any common stereotypes or target any specific groups of people. The original video is 4 minutes and 30 seconds long, but here's a short 30-second clip.
Why were you talking to Daniel? You know you'll become dumb if you're near him.
That's not true. Where did you even hear that?
Well, I was watching a video online the other day, and it said that we all need to stay away from ducks because out of all the animals, they are the dumbest. And if you get near them, it will rub off on you and you won't be smart either.
I looked it up too. At ducksardumb.com, it says the same thing.
Why were you talking?
In addition to the animated video, we have created 5 lesson plans for various age ranges. The lesson plans are detailed with activities and easy to follow for any teacher, even if the teacher does not have specialized training in the subject area. In your folder, you will find a copy of the Daniel's First Day Digital Literacy Lesson Plan. This lesson plan is an introductory lesson plan for grades 1st through 4th to discuss digital literacy and misinformation. To accompany this lesson plan, we have created a slide deck to provide a visual aid to engage elementary school students in source integrity and digital literacy. We chose to identify confirmation bias and keyword searching to introduce these subjects in an age-appropriate way. Additionally, we have created 4 other lesson plans. The first lesson plan on reliable sources uses the animation as an activity, and the 3 other lesson plans include cultural diversity, unreliable sources, and misinformation in US history. We are utilizing 3 main social media platforms to widen Duck's reach and engage with educators online. Each page is curated to be consistent both in visual aesthetic and in content. And in doing so, we've engaged with over 11,000 people on our Twitter page, and between Instagram and Facebook have had over 23,000 engagements. Additionally, through our social media pages, we've been able to be in contact with a CNN video producer, a researcher on extremism and violence in Canada, and the Washington Post. We're excited to discuss and follow our work. In order to gauge the efficacy of our Daniel's First Day digital literacy lesson, we conducted 2 virtual focus groups in 2nd and 3rd grade classrooms. Each lesson ran about 45 minutes long, where we started by asking the students a series of pre-lesson questions, engaged them in the Daniel's First Day digital literacy slide deck, where we then screened the video, facilitated a worksheet activity, and then followed up by post-lesson questions. In doing this, we gathered data that showed that prior to our lesson, only 10% of students had heard of the term misinformation. After the lesson, 90% of them understood the term, and 100% of them could identify that misinformation is something harmful. Additionally, 76% of students were able to say that they could tell whether a website has information they can trust or not. We conducted a 3rd informal focus group where we gave a 2nd grade teacher the lesson materials, and she conducted the lesson herself and gave us testimonial feedback. She said that our lesson facilitated blunt conversations about the types of Google searches that 2nd graders are doing and how important it is to have conversations about these searches, both in the classroom and at home. When asked about the animated video specifically, 95% of students said that they enjoyed the video, and 100% of them said they learned something new. We also included a sample from our worksheet activity from a 2nd grader named Andrew, who prior to our lesson did not know the term misinformation and guessed that it was something helpful. After just a 45-minute lesson, using the video, he was able to use the term properly in context.
Duck was created for the students by students. From the lesson plans to the animation, to the voice acting, to the website, everything Duck has created was created by American University students. We were given a budget of $2,000 and we chose to spend the majority of our budget on the animated video. We spent $400 on the animation, and we spent the rest of our budget on social media marketing, promotional packages for the focus groups, and things like the website domain and the SSL certificates. Since we chose not to hire outside or professional help, we were left with about $230 of our budget, or around 13%.
Earlier this spring, we were invited to informally brief 2 of the most senior members in the United Nations Counterterrorism Division. These conversations helped us map out a future for Duck. Currently, Duck is active on our social media pages, our website, and are recruiting teachers to collaborate with for the coming school year. We are partnering with the Polarization and Extremism Research Innovation Lab at American University, run by Dr. Cynthia Miller-Idris. The technology director in the school that we conducted our focus groups in loved our material so much that they're going to use it as a tool that will develop their digital literacy curriculum in their own school. Additionally, schools in 3 different states are interested in using our curriculum this coming school year, including the one that we initiated our pilot program in. We understand that misinformation can be a politicized and polarizing word, meaning that not everybody is receptive to it and may not want to use it in their own curriculum. So our plan is to grow our video library using professional animators and use more colloquial terms that will be more receptive to others, widening our audience. We also will dub the video in different languages to account for multilingual students, making this a more accessible platform for all. We're working with professional development curriculum curators to grow our lesson plan library and gain some credibility there. So hopefully that this will be able to reach a wider audience and gain more attention on a national level.
From Charleston to Christchurch to El Paso to Buffalo, the inability to critically evaluate key information online has been a mobilizing factor in domestic terrorist attacks. The growth and accessibility of social media networks like TikTok and Instagram among youth has created fertile ground for the manipulation of information online, leading to offline violence.
Now, more than ever, it's crucial that we safeguard our nation's youngest and most vulnerable populations against the risk of online radicalization and extremist propaganda. We believe that digital literacy is a skill as necessary and as relevant as reading and writing, which is why we invite you to join us in cracking down on misinformation.
All right. Thank you so much, American Campaign. We need to borrow one of your mics so that the judges can be mic'd as well. If you, the two of you can share. All right. Judges, Mackenzie is running a mic on down to you. Hala, do you want to start first this time since you've been in the middle both times before?
Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you so much for this presentation. It's super cute and very accessible. I don't mean cute like diminishingly, I mean because it makes it very accessible for your audience. Your audience is actually my question. How did you determine that working with young students was going to be the sort of most bang for your buck for this program?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that question. So when we did our initial research, we actually found that the age in which students are developing these critical thinking skills are actually in grades 1 through 6. So targeting this population made the most sense.
I agree. It's also cute. And my duck is protected in my bag. So it'll get to my office very safely and securely. I am really impressed on the approach on your budget and your strategic planning in that space. And I'm a partnerships guru, love partnerships. So I'm going to go right back to my stance and my question of working with academia, working with K-5, K-12, school districts, and the particular teacher that you worked with and provided the testimonial. What was it like navigating those spaces for you? Getting access into the actual school, maybe through the principal, then actually to a counselor, to the classroom, right? That entire process. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so it was a little difficult at first because DC public schools poses a unique challenge as far as needing a certain level of clearance to get into schools. So we conducted our virtual focus groups in Wisconsin. We used the connections that we have. So we were able to go to that national level initially. We first got approval from the district technology director and then the principal. And then from there went to the individual teachers. So we had to go through a couple levels in order to make sure the children were being safe and exposed to nice content, but yeah.
I'd love to know more about where in Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin as well. So, and actually was wondering, you know, how this type of language would work in a community like Wisconsin or North Dakota or some of these middle states. You mentioned that you found that misinformation could be maybe more of a biased term, and to bring people into the program, you would maybe use something else. It seems like the goal is to educate on misinformation though. So I'm just wondering, what other term would you use? And how do you work around the political bias that kind of is associated with misinformation?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, misinformation can be a politicized word, which is why we are working to grow our video library using different terms. So we could perhaps use false information and also, you know, making culturally relevant changes. So if there's a specific historical factor in that area, we could take that into account. Something that we are in the works of doing is making videos with other animals. So you mentioned Wisconsin. I'm not familiar with Wisconsin, so I'm not sure what kind of animals are there, but I'm from New Hampshire. So we're thinking like a moose for the Northeast states and maybe an alligator for the Southern states. So just, you know, curtailing it to the location that we would implement each program.
So thank you and congratulations. I really liked how funny the video was, which hopefully helped with your engagement. So congrats on a great project. I want to ask about your academic influences. You mentioned, for instance, some of the research that led you to the age group. I wanted to ask about the kind of, how did you see this approach specifically leading to impact? Like, you probably came up with some research. I know you were at American University, maybe it's Cynthia Miller-Idris or others. Who were your kind of influences, and kind of map us through how that academic research led to your approach?
Yes, of course. So we initially, when we sought out this project, we knew that we wanted to deal with just misinformation in students, but we didn't really have the research that was necessary to kind of substantiate our approach. When we did the research, we did find that this population, specifically uncommitted youth 1 through 6, are the most at risk. They're the most exposed to misinformation and extremist content, but more specifically, they haven't yet developed the critical thinking skills, the critical comprehension skills that are necessary to evaluate that information for themselves. So I think the research speaks to that, and our project does as well.
So congratulations, you clearly put a ton of effort and energy into this. So thank you. Question, were you able to connect with any professional mental health folks within your university to talk specifically about education with young children?
Unfortunately, we were not able to do that, but moving forward, we would like to consult with mental health professionals, maybe take a social emotional learning approach to this. So that would be, as we grow our lesson plans and our video library, we would look to different sources for that.
Other questions from judges?
Similar to one I asked before. So 2 or 3 years from now, and take your time, where do you see this? And how do you see implementing it?
Okay, so moving forward, we have a pretty dense plan as far as what we want to do with Duck. We would really love to expand our library. And then we also, from the beginning, wanted to create something longitudinal. So that's why our lesson plans go from 1st to 6th. So 3 years from now, hopefully we can have a classroom that we've already been in for 3 years. And we can start with those plans that are 1st to 3rd. And then as they get older, we start to work on those plans that are 4th to 6th and 5th to 6th, so that we can really see how their behavior and their understanding of the world and misinformation and society really changes.
Any further questions? All right, so American University Duck team, thank you so much. Go ahead and take your seats. Judges, you're going to follow Tony and I downstairs to the judges' deliberation room. So please go ahead, and Tony is right there. He can raise his hand, lead you down. And I'm going to welcome Ashley Bowers, the Senior Program Manager for the McCain Institute, up to do the panel of the teams from last semester.
Oh. Thank you, thank you. Hope I don't think I have. Does this work, Sean?
That works? Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started with highlighting some additional accomplishments by students from this semester. So to start us off, I would like to feature the 3 collegiate teams that received an honorable mention from the finalist selection committee. First, we have Boston University with a new page. The new page app provides former extremists with a safe space to continue disengagement through healthy outlets. Next, we have Columbia University with Change Champions. Change Champions is an educational board game aimed at addressing xenophobia and stereotyping by increasing cultural awareness and emotional learning. Finally, we have University of Massachusetts Amherst with Lift, leveraging identities for tomorrow.
LIFT provides interactive educational resources to increase cultural appreciation. Congratulations, teams. Next, we would like to announce the 7 collegiate recipients of a $1,000 Invent2Prevent scholarship. The Invent2Prevent recipients are Alexander Nielsen from Middlebury Institute for International Studies, Aaron Iman Wells, Southern University Law Center, Jamie Walters, Southern University Law Center, Janiyah Mayer Brooks, Grambling State University, Kansas Beyonce Carter, Jackson State University, Chris Jesus Ziha Duro from Grambling State University, and Nethme Thawisha Amarazenge from University of the District of Columbia. Congratulations, recipients. It has been extremely exciting to host our first in-person competition for Invent2Prevent. We have seen impressive, innovative projects over the past 2 days, and this level of quality is not unique to this semester. When we were unable to host our in-person competition for our fall 2021 teams, we made it a priority to invite them to join us for this semester's competition and to provide an opportunity to highlight their impressive projects and experience within the program. I am pleased to bring our top 3 finalists from fall 2021 to the stage. I'm going to give them a moment to kind of start circling off to the side here and join me up here. But today we will be joined by Diverting Hate from Middlebury Institute for International Studies, Peace Coalition from Howard University, and WITS Meme What You Mean from University of South Carolina. Hey, everybody. All right, we're joined by all of the teams up here. Let's see, I'm circling. Yep, I think I got everybody. Okay. Let me see if I can find another mic. Otherwise, we'll just go on the fly with this one. All right, to get us started, I'm gonna go and introduce all of you. I'm gonna give you a moment to kind of do a quick elevator pitch for your projects and just bring the audience up to date of what you presented last semester.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shadrick Johnson. I am a senior public relations major at Howard University, and I am the executive director of the Peace Coalition.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kemi Karim. I am a recent graduate from Howard University, and I'm the art director at the Peace Coalition.
Hi, everybody. My name is Thomas Coleman, and I am a recent graduate of Howard University as well, and I'm the media director for the Peace Coalition.
Hi, my name is Peter Stewart. I'm with the Middlebury Institute. I'm in charge of partnerships with Diverting Hate.
Hi, I'm Raider Fowler. I'm also with the Middlebury Institute, and I've been working on some of the internal procedures for making an organization effectively collaborate.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Courtney. I'm also at the Middlebury Institute and Diverting Hate. I was working as a co-lead throughout the competition and going forward.
Hello, I'm Mary Kate Griffin. I'm a member of the WITS team at the University of South Carolina, and I'm currently a grad student at the University of South Carolina.
Hi, I'm Courtney Trammell, and I'm a recent graduate of the University of South Carolina and also a member of the WITS team.
Hi, my name is Madison Hammonds, and I am also a recent graduate of the University of South Carolina, as well as a proud member of the WITS team.
Awesome. Wits, I'm going to start off down there at the end with you all. So Wits focused on providing education materials on malicious content and memes for teachers of middle school students. How did you secure buy-in and build credibility with educators?
So at the beginning of our campaign, we hosted a focus group with teachers and guidance counselors from throughout South Carolina, and we're kind of able to see what they would want in a third-party lesson plan and what their students would be interested in. And in addition to that, we were able to make contact with the South Carolina Deputy Superintendent of Education, who gave us some tips on how to appear credible and legitimate to these teachers. The most notable of which was making sure that our lesson plan aligned with South Carolina Priority English Language Arts standards. So being able to convey all of that through email marketing to the teachers, I think helped us appear more legitimate to the teachers.
Awesome. And we're just going to kind of keep going down the line and we'll shuttle back and forth. Okay. So diverting hate, I'm going to come back next to you. So diverting hate utilizes digital interventions to promote resources to individuals consuming hateful content online. Why would this model be a stronger prevention tool compared to existing policies on Twitter?
Yeah, great question. So I wrote some of this down so I got it correctly. Currently, Twitter calls out things like fearful stereotypes, wishing serious harm, degrading sexist tropes, and referencing to violent events as things that violate their policy. And they take action on this through things like downranking. They'll make those posts ineligible for amplification, or retweets, and they will even go so far as to suspend accounts. However, at diverting hate, something that we noticed and what we think we fill the gap and void in is that this policy at Twitter inadequately addresses sort of misogynistic hate speech, which is what our focus is, because moderation that is reliant, as Twitter does, on adaptive terminological trends is subject to ambiguity. Yeah, you get where I'm going.
Awesome. Okay, Peace Coalition. So you implemented a lot of tactics. You had a podcast, a board game, social media campaign, and community events. In your opinion, what was the most interesting research finding and how did that inform your project?
I'll definitely say in doing our preliminary research, it was very interesting to see how the freedom of association provision in the First Amendment kind of, I'm not going to say posed a challenge, but it exposed the deeply nuanced nature of the work that we were doing in our research topic, in that police officers take an oath to protect and serve, regardless of socioeconomic status, race, creed, gender, etc. But due to that provision, you can join any group, including a white supremacist group. And being that our project focused exclusively on white supremacist infiltration into law enforcement, I found that at least extremely interesting in how we would have to navigate that and what implications that could have for us as we try to mitigate those occurrences of domestic terrorism and infiltration. But I'm sure my colleagues may have something a bit different.
Not necessarily different, very in alignment with everything that you said. I think the most interesting finding for me, and it just kind of like opened my eyes up to how important our topic is. There has been reports for over 50 years that there's like subgroups within law enforcement with deputies and that they have the power to quite literally, I'm sorry. Open this up. I'm gonna keep it for it. You guys. Yeah, I'm gonna. I think the most shocking research finding for me was the amount of deputies and officers that have been suspended for the extremist behaviors, relocated and reinstated in other districts and states, despite many reports of their misconduct and organization of subgroups within law enforcement. So that was the thing that kind of like kept me in focus and in alignment with this, and why I just could not take my hands off of this topic with the Peace Coalition.
Okay. I'm going to stay on this topic with y'all before we start heading back. So What precautions has the Peace Coalition taken to ensure audiences are receptive to your research topic?
You're gonna answer? Okay, I can answer. This is another question for me. So we understood that the sensitivity of our research topic, so we wanted to make sure that we weren't alienating certain groups. So we were careful with our word choice and use of visual elements, and just also making sure that we're using solution-based messaging and discourse when connecting with certain groups or aiming to partner with law enforcement.
Okay, diverting hate. What inspired you to take this course? I know you all were having some personal connections and really had an inspirational story behind this.
Yeah, this project was deeply personal to me. For a large chunk of my life, roughly 15 years, I was raised by a man who was later arrested for a domestic terrorism plot in Southwest Kansas against a Somalian refugee center. And so Jason Blazakis, our professor, offered a class on the radical right, and I saw an opportunity to better understand my experience with my stepfather, ex-stepfather, and very grateful that I2P reached out and became a part of our course, and we were able to work on this project, and gave me an opportunity to hopefully have an impact to prevent similar things. And to Roy Austin's point in the beginning, hate is easy, and unfortunately at the moment, the spread of hate is far too easy. And so really inspired by this project, and working with my fantastic colleagues to hopefully make the spread of hate more difficult, and the spread of compassion and empathy and love a little bit easier.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, since we're still on diverting hate, why did you choose to address violent misogynistic movements? There's a lot of threats, and I know that you all were very passionate about this topic and pursued it pretty strongly.
So we looked at our team, we looked at our strengths, and we played to those strengths. We had multiple people that had a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, brought a lot of expertise specifically to that field. And so we wanted to really rely on that. We also, when we looked into that space, who is working in it? Who is taking this seriously? And we didn't find enough groups taking this issue seriously, having this as the focus. And the research specifically, we saw a big lack and a big opportunity in that lack to really contribute to having this organization become a thought leader in that space, and hopefully have that research be able to contribute to similar movements moving forward.
Also just add on that and call out something that I mentioned yesterday, put out by Johns Hopkins University, that something around 68% of mass shootings in the US between 2014 and 2019 were predicated by an act of domestic violence, whether that was like a history of it in the home or an immediate before the mass shooting. So in Uvalde, if you remember, the shooter killed his grandmother before. In Parkland, the shooter had threatened girls at his school. Similar at the Pulse nightclub, the shooter had abused his wife. So that you're seeing these instances of predicated domestic violence. And that was something that drew us to that space as, again, that I was speaking about, that sort of gap or void that we can fill.
Okay. I recently was speaking with one of our judges last week about the rise of memification of targeted violence and how this is really pervasive within our communities. What inspired you to tackle this memification of violence?
So it was honestly from, unfortunately, personal experience. From the 8th grade, I had noticed children passing around their phones and laughing at these, photographic images that depicted weapons, violence, blood, all of that stuff at the age of, 14. In high school, it was more. And even in college was when I've seen the peak of it. And so we kind of knew targeting a college audience wasn't the way to go. You have to get it from the root. It's been kind of a newer topic. And I think our program reaffirmed a lot of beliefs that nobody wanted to speak out about because the perpetrator's argument is it's humor, get over it. You don't have a sense of humor. You can't, monitor what I say. But in recent events, there may not be a statistical causation, but there is definitely a weird correlation between it, because you can look at almost all of the mass shootings that have gone on, starting from maybe even before, but in the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand, the US media didn't touch on this, but you can see it in New Zealand media. The shooter glued memes to his firearm. What does that say? Like, this obviously has some sort of, direct effect on why people do these things. In the Buffalo shooter, and I had to go to another foreign media source from the Netherlands to find this out. They cited that there were memes in his 180-page manifesto, and there was, memes on almost every single page depicting and reaffirming his beliefs. And even with the Robb Elementary School shooter, it's speculated that he would tag people in violent depictions of, just violence, guns, Pepe the Frog, things that were supposed to be just naive humor, but is now being, utilized as weapons for people with these terrible ideals. And if I may continue on one more point, it's scary to see that this isn't even a US problem. This is an international problem. Terrorist organizations throughout the entire world are utilizing the sense of plausible deniability of humor to get across their extremist ideals to a younger audience. So that's why we chose memes.
Thank you. Okay.
You are ready when you.
Okay. All right. Well, I think the judges are back from deliberations. Do you all want one more question? Okay. Okay. I will go fast. We're going to go fast. Okay. So yesterday we had a discussion during the reception about the need for multiple professional disciplines involved in projects such as yours, such as WITS. Kind of, if you could go back, what kind of professionals would you consult with while you're implementing your project?
I have a strictly international relations background. My background is actually not in PR or in education. So I would probably consult more with teachers, like people who are more well aware of the audience that we are trying to reach. My original tactic, which got shot down immediately by my PR folk, was let's show them the memes. And they're like, no, don't show them the violent memes. No, don't do that. So I'd probably consult a little more with actual teachers, because, to get anything passed in an education sense, it's very hard and you need a lot of approval. So that's what I would do.
And we need to wrap up, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because we are running a couple minutes behind, but thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on your success last semester and all of your continued work on your programs.
Thank you, guys.
All right, it is now my pleasure to introduce my good friend and colleague, John Piccarelli, Dr. John Piccarelli, I should say. He is the director of the Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and he is here to announce the winners.
Thank you, Brett. Well, good morning again, everyone, and thank you all for coming out and joining us on the live stream today. Once again, just phenomenal work, not only by all of our finalists, but really from all of our participants in this program. We continue to be incredibly impressed with what we're seeing out of this program, the innovative ideas, and more importantly, to see the work continue. So the sustainment program, but even beyond that, we keep seeing these programs continue to evolve and really make a difference in what we're trying to accomplish in the prevention space. So once again, to all the participants in Invent2Prevent, thank you for all the hard work you've put in. Was again very impressed by the three finalists today. One of the common themes that I heard coming up quite a bit was, if I might dive back into the fact that I have a PhD, I was thinking of Weber and his notion of Verstehen, where we try to understand society by stepping into the shoes of others. So not trying to look at everything through our own eyes, but trying to understand how others view the world. And in that connectivity, we develop better understanding. And all of our projects kind of reflected that, right? Was really impressed with how the projects are trying to work earlier and earlier and earlier in the prevention process to get to individuals before the ideas of hate or othering or violence set in. So again, it was a really impressive set of projects, which I now must announce who won the competition for this year. So again, we had 3 really impressive finalists in Missouri State and the work they're doing on inoculation, University of North Dakota and their focus on tribal communities, which is so vital, and American University and their outreach to younger peers. So I'm going to read these in reverse order. And I believe the teams will come out and join me here as I read their names. So in 3rd place in this semester's Invent2Prevent College Finals, we have the team from the University of North Dakota.
Thank you.
In 2nd place, we have the team from Missouri State University. And I have to check my notes here to see who came in first. Yes, the team from American University is this year's 1st place winner in the competition. Now, it's incumbent on me to note that I did receive my PhD from American University, and I will just again note I had nothing to do with the judging. I'm just up here to read. Thank you. Congratulations to all the winners and again to all the participants in this semester's highly successful Invent2Prevent competition. Please join me in congratulating all the winners.
All right, I want to thank you all for coming today and thank our 3 incredible teams, as well as our high school teams for yesterday, for all of your exceptional work this semester. You are all invited to participate in the sustainment program. I hope I get to work with you all next year. And we just cannot wait to see what you do next. As Tony said yesterday, today's learners are tomorrow's leaders, and that's what this program is all about. So please join me one more time in thanking all of these teams for their tremendous work and congratulating all of them on their honors. Right after this, they have the pleasure of briefing a senior official from the Department of Homeland Security. And so we are doing our very best to end right on time here. Join me again in thanking and congratulating these teams, and thank you all for being here for them. And that concludes our program. We're going to ask the students to stay on stage. We'll try and get some pictures as we wait for Sam to arrive.